Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. This was a Patreon exclusive yesterday, and it was something that Cindy channeled from the Galactic Federation as far as connecting to the 8th chakra and the universal field, because so many on Earth have been disconnected from so much. I mean, disconnected literally from our higher selves in many cases. And we are going into a totally new place, thankfully.
Yes, and we want to say a huge thank you to Darren, Troy, and Carrie. They're our newest Patreons at the $5 level, and this one was unique. It aligns your chakras. So once those 7 chakras are aligned, it connects you to the 8th chakra, which is the field. It's the all. And this is where we co-create together. So it was beautiful. It came from the Galactics. I have more. It's a matter of getting them out there. So we will be doing more of these. It's not a long meditation. It's a short meditation. And boy, I really think it helps you feel better.
Absolutely. You know, again, the new medicine that's going to come and sweep over the world as far as those that stay natural is going to be energy medicine. And really, that is the big wave of healing that's going to bring so much relief to so many out there. So, as we see here, a commercial poultry farm on Long Island, New York, is being forced to kill thousands of ducks after health officials detected cases of bird flu. You know, we were, at one point in time, eating vegetarian. Because of health reasons, we went back to eating, more of a paleo type of diet. And you know, it's mind-blowing. $25 for an organic chicken. $25 for an organic chicken. Yeah, and we were talking about organic strawberries. Now, you know, I'm going to do a short video on which stuff you may be able to get by on. And again, there are some things. There was what's called the dirty dozen of things that you don't want to buy non-organic because they're so overloaded with pesticides, and strawberries are one of them. Because yeah, you could buy strawberries for a couple of dollars, $2.50 a quart, but you know, if you're getting conventional, it's going to be just overloaded with toxicity. And when you look at the people that are dropping left and right from all the cancers, you really have to be detoxing all the time to survive these times.
And, you know, chicken is one of the hardest. So a lot of people and a lot of pets have these reactions to chickens. And it's because they are pumping them full of things, or they're bred as meat birds. And people don't realize that the poor chickens, they're the ones that they put most of these things in. So going organic on a chicken is really, really critical. If we want to eat chicken, it has to be organic, because we will have reactions. So if you are having reactions, skin problems, anything, take a look at your chicken. Is it organic? And that might be one of your problems. And just putting organic chicken in there might solve everything. Or I would first eliminate chicken for a while and see if that doesn't solve your problem.
So, you know, I'm showing this because I think this shows you a lot about the system. This is a video we did a little over a year ago, and it's called Full Disclosure in the Middle of an Interdimensional Intergalactic War. Couldn't be any simpler, any plainer than that. That is the reality, whether people understand it or not. This over here, if you look at this graph over here, you might say, wait a minute here. Okay, what do they show for evolutionary? It's 8 years old, 714 videos, 65.7 thousand subs, and it's had 3.1 million views. Wait a minute, 3.1 million views, but you look over here and you say, well, these views don't count? 18 million views? Yeah, I mean, we were over here in 2020, you know, we were still kind of up here, and then they just pulled the rug out from us. As you could see, they pulled the rug out. This was when they started demonetizing and hitting us with strike after strike because of quote-unquote medical misinformation, which has turned out to not be misinformation. By the way, it's pretty obvious. Everybody knows it. But then again, you know, Alphabet, the parent company of Google, is obviously been part of the system. of suppression of the real reality that we are facing. So, this is again why we've been shifting more to Patreon, and we thank you guys for your support, because when they did this, they literally took at that time almost all of our income away, and we scrambled, and we actually moved in with Cindy's mom, and we revamped things and shifted focus a little. But again, we want to tell people how to better themselves, how to become the best version of you, or give you at least the tools that you could find your way. Again, it's like handing somebody a flashlight in a pitch dark cave. It's nice to have a little light to guide you, and really understand what the situation is. And the reality is, again, most people, can't really handle this situation. This is the tip of the iceberg, but we could see what's coming. What's coming is a world in which, food scarcity, which should never happen. There's no reason for this to happen naturally. It's very, very unnatural what we see going on. CIA Director John Ratcliffe drops bombshell on UAPs, UFOs, again, technologies we don't have and we can't defend against. That's pretty scary, to realize that you're at the mercy of something that's not human, and you have no chance against them. But this is the reality, again, of the world that we came into. You guys are brave, because you came into this world at a time when everything's going to be exposed, and it's more like a sci-fi movie. It is an intergalactic, interdimensional war. And again, people will say blue beam, and they'll dismiss, again, with the short attention spans that have been cultivated by this world system, they'll just throw out the whole idea of ETs and interdimensional beings with the bathwater there because of blue beam. They really want to, throw it out. They don't want to acknowledge the fact that we're not at the top of the food chain. Yet at the same time, we are so far above and beyond the system and where the system can go, the beings that control the system in the bigger scope of things, as you literally are a fractal of the one source of all, having a temporary experience as a human. And as you see this again, it's everybody that's getting pulverized. There were chemtrails that were shown in Tennessee too, against the law now at this point in time, because certain states have outlawed it, and yet it still goes on. Why? Because the system that does this is beyond any laws that humans have the ability to go ahead and implement. However, we do also have friends that are out there helping us. I was watching a video yesterday, I forget where it was, of a UFO UAP dissolving these chemtrails, which they say don't exist, even though there's declassified documents that talk all about the programs. Again, it's beyond stupid, but the reality is they think most humans are extremely just that, stupid, and won't be able to really pick up on things. The plagues of Justinian, this was horrible, and killed as many as 5,000 people per day in Constantinople. Justinian, this is when the breakup of the Roman Empire happened, and there was an eastern and a western branch of the Roman Empire. In Constantinople, again, this is in today's modern-day Turkey. Before that was the Ottoman Empire. The maps, the empires, they're always changing. The emperors are changing. This is a Roman emperor, so to speak. 25 million deaths. I bet you it was higher than that. 40% of the population lost to this plague. That was a big plague. And do you know what was really fascinating about this? Again, this is not dissimilar from what we've seen throughout history. It was named after the Byzantine Emperor Justinian I. Yeah, technically the Byzantine Empire, which was, again, coming out of the Roman Empire. As you see, according to historian Colin Barris, Procopius recorded the climate changes taking place. Climate change? In southern Italy during the period. Unusual incidents of snow and frost in the middle of summer. Below average temperatures. A decrease in sunshine. So began a decades-long cold snap, accompanied by social disruptions, war, and plague. They all go hand in hand. Cold, tired, hungry people. And then you throw warfare going on, a rat population that's increased, and you have the epidemic. What was interesting, too, is the way this spread all over the world. I mean, from China all the way over to today's Turkey and throughout other areas as well. And in some areas, it's recorded that 60% of the population succumb. And when you see this, these plagues come and go throughout history. They're very, very periodic, and yet they're kind of regular. At some point in time, they come along. It really makes you suspicious, if you were a CONS piracy theorist, of the statements that we get again from the Sumerian tablets, which talk about Enlil saying there's just too many humans. We got to kind of pull it back of there. The Black Death. And then you have, plagues in London, 1665, plague of Marseille, 1720, plague of Milan, 1629, another third plague in Asia, India, 19th century. What's really going on here? Well, when you look closely with all these plagues, the thing that you see is a lot of people noticed that there were strange going-ons in the heavens. Sightings of circular objects that look pretty much like flying saucers, strange cloud formations, and the sun being blocked out. Yet again, cold snaps. We're talking about global warming, and yet, boy, didn't we have an unusual cold snap? We just had a 1 in 100-year storm along the Gulf Coast. This is unusual, but in reality, the cold snaps are worse for growing food than having the heat. Of course, ideally we want nice, ideal situations with nice, balanced, predictable weather. That's not the case when, again, there's technologies involved. And this is a woodcutting, again, depicting a classical UFO. You'll find this all throughout history, and even, what seems to be battles of the gods with UFOs coming down and crashing. It's been recorded all throughout our entire history. And, again, geoengineering, weather warfare, it's always been here. It's always been here. This is the Polish Psychic. I want to share 2 of his videos because these were just fabulous. I mean, he hit it out of the park on these, and I just found it insanely satisfying because he's not like us in that he is not necessarily a CONS piracy theorist. He is a psychic that's helped the police locate missing people, and he is really gifted, and I do really I put a lot of respect behind him. I enjoy him, and I feel his energy is clear.
I do too. I like his energy. It doesn't feel misleading. It doesn't feel deceiving. When he doesn't understand something, he says so. He's like, hey, I got this information. I don't understand it, but here it is. And oh my gosh, I totally understand that because I get things that make absolutely no sense. And I'm sure you guys have experienced me doing that. And to me, these are markers of somebody who really is legitimate. All they're doing is saying what is being put in their head, what they are seeing. And, that's all any of us can do. And sometimes we truly do not understand it, but the pieces come together later. It's so interesting.
So much of the time I'll use Cindy for verifications. I'll get something and I'll be wondering what it means, and then she'll pick up on something else, or she'll pick up on something, wonder what it means, and then I'll get clarification, or have clarification because of all the studies I've done. So when we look to him, I'm looking to him for clarification as well, and as somebody that's not really doing this like we do it. And so he's mind reading Elon Musk. He's trying to read Elon's mind. And at first what comes through here is, like he said, it might be nonsense. He really doesn't, it doesn't feel, and I've noticed this with him, it's like there's some things that he doesn't want to really talk about, but I know he feels that he has to talk about it because of everything that's going on in the world. As he says, second time I felt it, the first time I didn't want to say it, but I felt that. And then he just, you could feel the hesitancy. There are corridors into outer space. You can fly there via these corridors. Yeah, and they are there. They've been perceived by us, in our meditations. Absolutely, Cindy can see them. Not just outer space, but there's corridors here on Earth as well. We've had interactions with what you would call ghosts, which again, disembodied spirits of different people that have come and communicated with us regularly. This is part of why, like, when we say things like, well, your belief system that you have in, say, fundamentalist Christianity is incorrect, because we have firsthand knowledge that it's incorrect. I mean, we just know it's incorrect. People aren't just turned off until they're resurrected at some point in time to be reunited with their body. That's like so far away from the reality that we know and that we've had firsthand interaction with. Again, we can see people on the other side and I've perceived them, and Cindy can have conversations with them. Again, it's just what is, and we've learned that a lot of times these people on the other side, they can travel through what would seem to be a portal or a corridor. For instance, we met one young girl in Nevada that had passed on. And then, she interacted with us in New Mexico, and even now we can interact with her from the other side. And we've met a young extraterrestrial girl that lived thousands of years ago here on Earth, over in the Texarkana area. And, again, we can interact with her. And if you just think about a person, they'll hear you, because, again, it's telepathy. Everybody is telepathic when you go into the other densities, because this is one big consciousness field. But here he's talking about these corridors that we can actually, in a more physical sense to us right now, in our 3D physicality sense, that you could fly there via these corridors, and you have to use these corridors, and they understand it. It looks as if outer space isn't really what it's supposed to be. No, it's not a vacuum. As we've said, it's more akin to an ocean, a less dense ocean. It's somewhere, its density is in between our air and water. So it's somewhere in between that, as far as if you want to think of it as a viscosity. What we are told it is, but it's as if there were some gaps, corridors, tunnels. Yes. Again, there are portals, there are ways of getting from one star system to another very, very fast. They haven't shared these things with us.
Oh, no, they don't want to share these things, because it would really turn everything on its heels for them. They need to make sure that the science is out there, and they need to make sure that people are studying their science that's in a box, so that they can keep this matrix together, because this matrix works for them. And as long as we are educated appropriately for their belief system, then it's going to continue to work for them. But there are so many things out there that we have not been introduced to that truly are, that people are waking up to. They're starting to say, hey, wow, things really are not as I thought they were. And more people this is happening to. So he does a really good job of explaining a different world, a different realm that in many ways we have access to if we can understand the other densities.
Absolutely. So again, when they say we can never transverse these distances, no, these distances aren't accurate for the first place. Nothing is accurate in science. It is politics, it's sales. Okay, so he says you could send a rocket through, it wouldn't go through to other places because these are direct corridors that you can go through. These are in so many ways like wormholes, and here you go.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain, but when we work with other spirits and other ghosts, if they want to go from one place to another, as long as they have been there before, they have a way to make a portal so that they can go from point A to point B, and it's instant. So, this is what they can do in other ways as well with other technologies. They understand this, so that they make and they change time space so that there's a direct point A to point B, and so you don't have to go around through time space, you just go through it, and it's instant. So these are all things that are not taught in kindergarten that probably should be.
Yeah, and again, this is just, it's great coming from him. He talks about being interested in astronomy, and it contradicts my logic. Yes, absolutely. What I know, but that's what I've felt. So he's sharing what he feels. And that the moon, is very important. And then he's here tapping in, and he's reading Elon's mind is what he's doing. The moon is the guardian of the earth. Now, okay, look, I'll just keep going before I interject anything. Moon is the guardian. The moon, as he says, is assembled. Assembled. What? Yeah. The moon is the guardian of the earth. The moon is assembled, brought to the earth in the past. Again, we've done multiple videos sharing this. There are, again, indigenous people across the planet that remember the time before the moon was here. And an African tribe says the moon was brought here by two always warring with each other brothers that happen to be reptilian. Yeah, again, the truth is far more stranger than the reality. But the reality is, this is a very, very, history is their story. It's just a story that they've indoctrinated us with. The moon is something like a base brought here in the past, assembled. It's a base. Absolutely. Absolutely. I have this feeling that Elon Musk, I want to stress, it's a vision. He's maybe getting a little bit nervous about what he's saying. I'm not forcing these words on him. I'm just saying what I feel. Elon Musk doesn't believe that people have landed on the moon. See, now this is the other place where they get you. Oh, well, you can't penetrate the dome. That's what they want you to believe. You can't penetrate the dome. They, I think, in many cases, want to give us things like glimpses of maybe hairbrushes that fall off in the International Space Station and just fall to the ground. They want us to question certain things. They want some things, to look like they are faked, because then they'll get us, get some of us thinking that there's not extraterrestrials and interdimensional beings in charge. That's the ultimate goal, is to, as people start to wake up and realize what's really going on, they have to control the narrative. And so they do it by those that wake up and discover one thing. If they could lead them into another dark corridor that leads nowhere, into another labyrinth, a maze that leads to no real discovery, that's what they do. So as people wake up, they'll bring them down another rabbit hole that's going to lead to disinformation. So people have not landed on the moon. Elon knows this. I have a feeling that Elon Musk probably doesn't know, but maybe he thinks that the moon is a base purposely made to look like the moon, but it's a base. Yeah, absolutely. This is where the watchers watch from, right? They're right there. And the moon is the guardian of the earth for the system is the key part there. For the system, for the control system. The moon is like the Death Star that was brought in, again, by the evil empire when they took over this particular planet. And the reality is that bringing the moon in is really what caused the Younger Dryas extinction event. And, it's connected to it. The moon is not a natural companion of the Earth. Yes, when I was a kid, they told us that the moon, was a break-off part of the Earth, but that's not the case. Then they say that now that they're not made of the exact same material, so at some point in time, the Earth captured the moon. No, it was towed in here and brought here. Now, the Earth is the future for those that are over there. So, in other words, they've taken over the Earth. They want the Earth. They're in the process of getting rid of whatever humans could be a threat to them. They've done this so many times. This is that GR term, GR, make something great again. We are the future for them also because, Mars is not really usable, and Nibiru is dying. And, he's convinced, he goes on, that among the elite, mostly among the elite, there are many non-human beings. He's getting nauseous. Look at his face. He's turning green.
Mm-hmm. He's having these realizations that they didn't exist before. And I've had this happen to myself. I've seen this in channeling where it's like this information comes in and you're just taken back, as anybody would be if somebody is standing there giving you information and someone says something that is just really not in your belief system, and you realize it for the first time. Because you got to understand, when you're channeling, it's just like somebody's standing there talking to you, telling you this information, and then you're repeating it. So once you hear something that is staggering or that is really difficult to believe, you have all of these emotions that kind of flood your body and these realizations, just like anybody else. And it's really difficult. It's a difficult moment to go through when you get hits of this information. So yeah, he's in a spot where, and I think this has been going on with him for a little while, he's tapping into some new energies, and it's a little bit difficult for him to process. But, he's being very brave. I got to tell you, he's being so brave by just stepping out and saying it anyway, because that's how this information comes in. This is light. This is knowledge. It's instant. It doesn't always come in order. We are the ones who have this line of information, from point A to point B. But when you're channeling, you're getting information from time, space. So it doesn't necessarily come in the right order. So this is what we are dealing with as humans in a human body, with the parameters that we have been given, and pulling information from different densities and trying to make sense of it. So it is really brave. It's like stepping out on a platform and jumping into an ocean, and you don't even know how deep this ocean is sometimes.
And they have one characteristic. They can, this is weird, they can stand without moving for a long time. I'm wondering what he's picking up on. A non-human being in a human body is able to stand still. It can keep still for a longer period of time. That part was a little bit curious. Outlanders are among the elite. I think when he's saying outlanders, they're not from here. They are among the elite. Yeah, absolutely. Because this world is not controlled by humans. If they appear, actually they appear all the time. They are mostly in the elite. They have everything they need. You can recognize them from frequent stillness. If they have nothing to do, they are still. I have this feeling as if the whole body was temporarily motionless. Humans always move something, or there's the body expression. I have this strange impression that the outer space around Earth is different than what we are told. Yeah, I have this feeling about the space station, which is in orbit, that it's there, but it's kind of a fiction. Oh, absolutely. There may be astronauts, but some things are purposely kept fictional over there. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how I should understand it. There's some falsification as far as outer space goes. That's what I'm feeling from him. Again, and then he goes into the beings that love darkness. Absolutely. Note that beings that love darkness, it's very often that envisions there are these nomads, these beings. They prefer the night rather than the day. Oh, when we have blocking out the sun, isn't that curious? Yeah, so that's that one. Wow. I mean, I loved it. I loved seeing Christoph really getting it to a higher level than he ever has, and here's what else he's gotten is that the spiritual side of things, and that was one of my favorite videos he ever did too, or portion again. This is clear seeing, which translates it. You can go to his regular site too, which just search his name. I'll look it up and put a link for you guys. And then you just have to go in and hit the settings button, turn on closed captions, and change it to English. But you know that has like I don't know 100,000 subscribers or more, 300,000. Because he is quite big over in Poland. This one was, again, about Bill Gates. And Bill Gates is one of those, by the way, that's not really human when you get down to it anymore. So here he's tapping in. The earth is a malleable botanic garden. Malleable. You could bend, conform, twist. Yes, it's the first sentence that I've felt. What's on earth was made by the Creator, who is closer than we think. Yeah, in more ways than one. Again, source is within us. When we come into this reality, we kind of take on the energies of the creator of this reality, which Cindy and I look at it with the name Vishnu. But again, depends on where you're at and what your background is, because there will be different names attributed to this being. But it's certainly not Anunnaki. It's certainly not something that small, and it is not a lower vibrational being at all. It's extremely high frequency, high vibrational. To have the love to create the natural matrix and the understanding and the wisdom, because the natural matrix is not evil. It's the dark matrix that we've been in that is evil. And so then, of course, we have those that have done the genetic engineering to castrate humanity, and this is the word he keeps coming up with here. The times of castration of civilization is approaching. Now, this one is a big one, and this one is hard-hitting. Just to warn you guys, what he picks up on is what we all are aware of, but it's still disconcerting. Not the termination of the civilization, not the termination, no. It's the castration of the civilization. This is curious at how he gets it. And now, here he's going into specifics. I'm just going to quote what he says. White and yellow race mostly are at risk of castration. It's spread out over 10 to 20 years. 10 years from now is 2035. According to what we've gotten from the kids in the future, that's about when the giants take over the cities themselves. In other words, certain Anunnaki beings return and take over the smart cities in an outright manner. And then 20 years, that gets us to the mid-2040s, where we feel that the split is kind of a done deal at that point in time, sort of, in that those of us that have stayed natural have kind of gone the way of Bigfoot in that we will have abilities that seem to be paranormal. They're developing already. But by that time, in the mid-2040s, when the bigger flashes are coming from the sun, and this is, again, obviously all timelines can change. And so they're always changing, in fact. They're always nudging one way, nudging another way. A big event comes, and what might have been the most likely dominant timeline all of a sudden is down to a 50-50, and then it starts to wither away, and no, that timeline's not going to be what we're on. And then there's this other timeline that looks to have more possibility. This is the reality because there's so many different consciousnesses in play.
Well, this word that he uses, this vibration to the word castration, is concerning, because if you look at it, what is it? And it's altering an organ so that it no longer has any seed to it. It's just simply, now it's existing. There is nothing behind it. It's just there. So that word is a little bit haunting.
Yeah, and if you look at Elon's text all the time, not a day goes by he doesn't talk about the fact that humans are not reproducing, except for in Africa. That's really the only continent where we haven't seen huge, loss of fertility. There will be fewer and fewer people born in the world. What was that? Children of Men, that one video that was from maybe 2004 or something, where, there's a woman that's pregnant and it's a miracle and they got to hide her because people don't get pregnant anymore. That is what's happened because, multiple things, everything from the forever plastics that are in mother's milk to all sorts of frequencies, signals, all the foods, the GMOs. Well, what GMO seeds, what can't they do? They can't reproduce. If you go plant them, you might get a plant, but it doesn't give you any more seed. This is what has seeped into Homo sapiens sapiens in so many ways, because there will be a very high infertility rate, which we have already, among people. There will be lower infertility among the dark-skinned races, and it'll be higher among white people and the Asians, is how he words it. There's no other solution to save the planet. This is, again, reading into what the minds of the controllers think. People, again, like Gil and El Elyon. Technological world is ready for governing the world. It's ready to go, with much lower population and lower intellect. Purposely, again, it's not an accident what we saw with water fluoridation. And, the way schools are so dumbing down the kids. No, it's completely purposeful. So this is done so as to not recreate the growth of population. At the same time, education in the future will be, it was worded nicely, but I've forgotten just a sec. It was something to the tune of not to develop intellect. Not to develop intellect, or not to develop real knowledge. Instead, education will shift in the direction of just simply performing tasks. Learn what your job is. This is, again, what Rockefeller said. I don't need a country of intellectuals. I just need workers. So people will be educated in such a way that they only do what they are supposed to do. Yes, and this is where you have to obey the gods like Rockefeller and Rothschilds, etc. Instead of being creative. In fact, creators won't be needed. No. Performers will be needed. Out of those people left after the castration. It's just a slave race, a slave system. I apologize that it's so strange, but that's how I feel. And again, this is all just for entertainment purposes. Gamma rays. Wait a minute. It's important. Gamma rays? I'll quickly Google it. Strange, it's complicated. I won't even try to read it. So you can see how so much of this is foreign to him. Gamma rays will be sent into the web. And if they influence, and they'll influence people unnoticeably. Now, gamma rays would change Bruce Banner into the Hulk. Or they are being sent. Poisoning doesn't have to be done through food or water anymore. It can be done long distance. And now I can feel military, that in reality the military has influence over some things that are happening. But what does it mean, the military or servicemen? It's an external order to cleanse the world, to reduce. Yeah, well, we're definitely in Patreon exclusive area here, I think. Arctic military. Wait a minute, there is no Arctic military. Wait, the Arctic doesn't have an army? What am I picking up? The world is facing an enormous tsunami. Okay. This one, well, I know a lot of you have seen gigantic tsunamis, but I don't know if it's a real tsunami or symbolic. Oceanic tsunami. We have gotten that the mother, when the ascension process is done, and those that have ascended naturally have done that she is going to cleanse this part of the world. And so that probably will involve major things. There will be a situation that the ocean, and this is real curious, that under the ocean there'll be such an enormous shock that the whole ocean will create an enormous tsunami. But is Gil Bates, I can't say it the other way anymore, a prophet? No, I don't think so, because he's focusing on Gil Bates the whole time. There's equipment on the earth, and which working together with equipment in orbit. There's equipment in the orbit, which working together unnoticeably influence the weather and other phenomena on Earth, some very, very dangerous. Wait a sec, I'll check something on the map. This enormous tsunami that I can feel, it's here, the southern part. So I'll tell you in a sec. It is the southern part of the Atlantic Ocean. The South Atlantic anomaly. When you see that area, the South Atlantic anomaly, I think that is where they have the tech. And then we've also done videos talking about that island, in the middle of nowhere. Remember? Mm-hmm. The island down there. Remember the signal that Into Thin Air saw too? Again, I think this is the area, this is the region where they have that tech. And so it's the ocean that's between South America and Africa, Antarctica. The South Ocean, southern part of the Atlantic Ocean. That's how I see it. I don't know why I feel it from Bill Gates, because he knows what's going on. He's reading, Bill's mind. For many years, there's been a periodic cooling of the Earth, of Earth's atmosphere. And the temperature from the sun would be much higher if there were no periodic cooling of the Earth. By releasing something into the atmosphere, it sounds very inhuman, because it's not done by humans originally. What I've told you, because castration, it was a very strange vision, right? So that's what he has for that. When you look to everything about us, it all makes perfect sense. Remember when Buzz Aldrin visited Antarctica in 2016? Crazy Buzz, who blurted out, well, we didn't go to the moon. We didn't go to the moon, kid. You remember that with Buzz? That was hilarious. And then people think, well, there's no aliens and you can't go through the dome, the firmament. That's the frustrating part, because again, that's another one of their rabbit holes that they want you to. They don't want you knowing you've been living in a extraterrestrial, interdimensional zoo, sort of. Again, they view us as a herd, and he posted this pyramid. Are you ready for the Antarctica rabbit hole? He posted, "We are in danger. It is evil itself," and then he had a heart attack. Yeah, absolutely. It's the system is as dark as you can imagine. It is very, very twisted. The reality that we've walked into.
Yes, and sometimes we just need to pull it back to simplicity, something that's simple, something that's fun, something that's entertaining, and just kind of lift your heart out and put it somewhere else for a little bit, because this is a lot to take on. It's a lot to take in. And many people who, this is their first round of going through an awakening. This is their first round of trying to absorb as much knowledge and information as they possibly can and understand this crazy world that they find themselves, kind of thrust into all of a sudden, because now they have to look at certain things because things just don't make sense. So if you're overwhelmed, just do something simple like this pup. He knows what to do.
Yeah, and again, this is what the system has planned. They've done it in the past. The difference here is multiple fold, in that this is the end of a cycle. So again, when we're talking about descending into a Kali Yuga, there's a different set of parameters. It's like in so many ways the hands are tied of the higher vibrational beings. All they can do is warn us and bless us, and again give us mantras to connect to them throughout the Kali Yuga. Again, in the Kali Yuga, it's said that the most productive thing you can do to raise your frequency is the Sanskrit mantras and practices like Qigong and yoga. Now we're coming out of that. So where are we right now? Again, this is the moment where the spoiled kid that's losing the game is about to flip the table over, and you're just trying to get everybody else aware of what's coming and get off the train tracks, so to speak. How do you get off the train tracks? You raise your frequency. And that really is the best way to protect yourself. You develop your abilities. How do you do that? Again, through daily practice. Daily. Not here and there. If you really want to make spiritual progress and you really want to set yourself up in the best way for the times ahead, it's not just stocking food and water and growing your own food and things like that, or getting to a more remote location. It is about, basically connecting to the all, which again, the Creator is within us the entire time. So it's more meditative practice, more things like yoga and Qigong, Tai Chi, mantras, and just getting out in nature and being still and noticing. Listen to nature. She will talk to you. She will send you signs.
Indeed.
Thank you guys so much again for your support. We couldn't do it without you guys. Again, on Patreon, as you guys may know, we have different tiers. And if you need to set up an appointment for spiritual coaching, Vedic astrology, charts, chakra balancing and cleansing, which can change everything. And, we'll have some new reviews we're going to put up, and even some old reviews. We've been very negligent as business people. That is not our strong point by any means, but we are, I think, very potent energy workers. And, that's really probably what we do best.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.